Hello and welcome to It's a Frankly Harry podcast. I'm your host, Frank Weber. So glad that you could join me once again this week in the forest. I have some deep and kind of somber thoughts to relate to you today. And then I may get into something here at the very end that's maybe not quite as somber, but we'll see if we have time. I think we'll have time for it. I haven't really let you out early as I had been promising in some recent episodes, but I decided today, like a lot of people, to talk about the Charlie Kirk shooting that by the time this airs will have been almost a week ago. That happened on September 10th. In the afternoon, I think it was in the afternoon or maybe around noon at Utah Valley University, which I had never heard of before. I don't know hardly anything about them. I guess it's a public school, but it's in Orem, Utah. And in case you don't know who Charlie Kirk was, he was a young guy, about 31 years old. Obviously way too young to get gunned down, and was a conservative pundit and a very deep, kind of thought-provoking Christian. And I honestly didn't get to hear him on a lot of different things or see him on a lot of different things. I know that there was never met him. I mean, I would have liked to have very much had met him. There's a lot of people that I would love to meet, and or would have loved to meet if they had still been here. But so I didn't really see or hear him on a lot of the political shows. Maybe not as much as some other people, but he was a very calm guy, very well thought. Loved America, wanted to see it prosper, go back in a different direction from what it seems to be going in now, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But he was very conversational with people. I don't think he was very forceful. He just wanted to sit down and have a conversation with everybody, and apparently, being a younger guy, because I was like, I think I have like 17 years on him or something like that. But he really connected with the kids, so that's why he went to a lot of these universities to kind of ask questions, have them ask questions to him, and really have a conversation with them, and attracted a lot of crowds and attracted quite a bit of a following. I don't think was ever really belligerent or, rude or anything to people. Very, very much a gentle soul. And the thing that really impressed me most about him is that he is a very deep Christian. And I listened to this firsthand. He was on Bill Maher's podcast, Club Random, back at Easter of this year. And Bill Maher, as you know, is an atheist and kind of a belligerent one toward Christians and other faiths, for that matter. He didn't have a very good experience growing up in church and everything, and that's why he says a lot of the stuff that he does. But Charlie sat down with him. They had a great conversation, and I was amazed at the breadth and the depth of wisdom that Charlie had with regard to the Christian faith and relationship with Jesus, and just having a biblical wisdom that a lot of people don't have, something that I've talked about on this show. I think I've acquired a lot of wisdom here in just the last few years in my 40s, and he had a ton of knowledge and wisdom in his early 30s by age 31, which personally I did not have. And so and I was very, very impressed with that more than anything else. And of course, Charlie's politics were right of center. A lot of my politics are right of center. And we share a lot of the same views and a lot of the same ideas and concerns and dreams for this great country here in the United States of America. And sadly, in that huge crowd last Wednesday, somebody was a sharpshooter. Somebody shot him. I never saw the footage. I don't want to see the footage. I mean, I think it's terrible when anybody gets mowed down like that. Anyway, the point of the matter is there's obviously, I'm obviously very sad for his loss and his family. He left behind a lovely wife, young wife with two very young children. I think it's a boy and a girl. And they can't be more than 2 or 3 years old each. Extremely sad. And so obviously, my prayers go out to his family and his friends and everybody that knew him. Why this keeps happening in our society, is there anything that we can do about it? But I'll give some suggestions, but I don't know how much of a heed some people will take. Now, you may or may not have heard about the incident at all. Maybe you don't follow politics or political pundits at all. There's apparently a lot of people out there like that. They may be too engrossed in their phones or distracted with other things in life. I have a lot of things to juggle myself, but we do have to pay attention to politics, even though I'm going to make the point that politics alone is not going to make our society and culture better, even though obviously politics as a profession, is supposedly values-based, but sometimes I don't know if a lot of the politicians really believe what they're saying. But anyway, a lot of this is due to a lot of violent and exaggerated rhetoric that exists in this country. I tend to think that most of it indeed comes from the left, and there is a desire to kill the opposition, much more so than anything on the right. I think on the right we tend to kind of ignore or minimize a lot of the threats, and while we may not like another person very much, or what they believe in, actually, I should say, we tend to kind of just maybe not live and let live as much as we should, but we're certainly not out there trying to take innocent life and mow anybody down. A lot of what people haven't really talked about, though, is this has been festering in this country for quite some time. It's not particularly new. It didn't start in 2016 when Trump won the surprise election over Hillary Clinton, and it didn't even really start 10 years before that. I don't even really know where it started, but I know that you can't continue to insult people. I know part of, what am I trying to say? The rhetoric, a little bit on both sides. You hear about you can't insult people, and you can't exaggerate it and hyperbole it and make it go over the top, because that's going to incite other people who are maybe less mentally stable, or heaven forbid have been paid off and hired to to take out the opposite side, the opposing side, as may be possible in this case. I mean, they just arrested somebody today as I record this, and the details are still coming out. But, when you call Donald Trump a Hitler or a Nazi or Stalin or Mao, or, you can name whatever evil dictator that has existed in this world. There have been many of them, many evil people, time immemorial. When you insult people, you can insult people is bad enough, but the certain extreme fringes of society will get motivated by this and think that they're doing a service. And it's bad when the right side does it as well. I think President Trump is a little bit. Sometimes he goes a little bit off the deep end with the insults of other politicians. But then again, that's politics. Sometimes it's better to insult each other and put down the other person rather than actually talking about policy. But anyway, that's just to tell you that the rhetoric is too much on both sides. That's going to get certain people going, and then you're going to have bad outcomes like this. I don't know that it will necessarily lead to a civil war. But this rhetoric and this division has been going on really for quite some time in this country, which is the point I was just trying to make here. And a lot of different people, if you understand the history of this country and you understand certain people who have been in power, they all have different opinions on when exactly it began. In my lifetime, some people point to the 1988 Robert Bork hearings. He was a Supreme Court justice that President Reagan was nominating. And, usually there's a little bit of fanfare involved with, naming Supreme Court justices anyway. But at that particular hearing, Senators Ted Kennedy and Joe Biden really insulted the guy, insulted his family. I think his wife began to cry. And he ultimately was not, what the hell's the word there, to pass the Senate. He wasn't confirmed, is what I should say. And then we got into the 90s. Bill Clinton, even for a Democrat who would be considered very moderate by today's standards, really divided this country up one way in many ways. Well, not just one way, but all over the place. And they began to put down the other side and pretend like they didn't have a voice in anything. And then, of course, there was the 1994 midterms where Republicans took over the House, and they were able to pass some legislation like on welfare and crime and some other things that I'm not sure that President Clinton would have been able to pass, or they wouldn't have prioritized passing during his first 2 years. But anyway, I don't know. It may have started well before then. Could have started in the 60s. Could have started in the 30s. Maybe the teens. Some people think that the modern-day progressives that are nowadays Democrats actually started with Teddy Roosevelt, who was a Republican at the beginning of the 20th century. And as always on this show, I'm trying to remember my next thought here. Oh, yeah, so speaking of progressives, which is basically what the far left portion of the Democrats are now, although a lot of the Democrats go along with them anyway. They have a very pie-in-the-sky view of things. They don't seem to understand that life works a certain way, human nature works a certain way. There are certain biological things that are very much ingrained in us, and we are also conditioned and have learned a lot of ways of behavior and a lot of ways of doing things. And there are some things that I would like to see changed in humanity, but wholesale changes and reinventing the wheel and remaking humanity in your own image is not going to work. And those of us with a platform and who lean right, or at least are more live and let live, are going to stand up to you no matter what. And the reason that I think that they do this and go to such extremes with, killing people that oppose them is not just because of their radical ideas or because of increased rhetoric and so forth, but I am reminded, and I mentioned this movie last week on the show, and even though it's a comedy and it's about racism and it's Blazing Saddles, of course, there was some interesting quotes that came from it, clean quotes that are repeatable here. But at one point, the townspeople were about to give up and leave town because the state was going to take them over and destroy the town and get the railroad in there anyway. And Sheriff Bart joined the people and said, can't you see that that's the last act of a desperate man? Meaning Hedy Lamarr, who was played by Harvey Korman in the film, was the desperate man. And I do think that a lot of these progressives are very desperate to get their agenda passed in a country that is very resistant to it and otherwise not likely to accept it. But in the end, that's the situation there. Everybody needs to decrease the rhetoric, decrease the exaggeration in everything would also be very helpful. And then to know the enemy who wants to destroy anybody who disagrees with them, instead of being tolerant and open-minded and being able to live and let live and allow other people to go about their business. And of course, the other thing that needs to happen is obviously a lot more golden rule: love your neighbor as yourself. And obviously pray for your enemies, love your enemies, other things that Jesus said. Obviously get back to some real values. Of course, Christian values would be preferred. So anyway, I had to give my 2 cents on that. And I've taken almost 20 minutes doing it already. But we can do better. We must do better. And those of us who are traditionalists regarding the great things about this country and the great opportunities available to us have to take a stand. We have to stand up to this and not be afraid of what may or may not happen to us. The cost is too great. We have to fight, and we have to preserve this country for ourselves and for future generations. And obviously, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Praying for you, praying for your family and your kids and everybody as well. So anyway, I don't want to leave you on too somber a note. I'll just let you know here in a much lesser deal, and I got, this is Friday before here, so there's several days out before this airs, but man, I got really pissed that I made a C on my first accounting test, and it's a short class. I only have about another month in it, but those of you who know me know that I don't really get a lot of low grades, and I don't really know what happened. Felt like I knew the material, but something was amiss taking that test, and I just don't know what it was, but it didn't add up. That's something else that, I mean, it's not quite as important. I think I'm going to rebound. I know I'll rebound, but something was amiss there. Didn't work. Didn't exactly go with the homework that I did, or even the one quiz I took a week ago, or the lectures or anything. But we'll figure it out. And if for some reason I don't, I was telling several people this week that, of course, there's always course evaluations to express your ire and disapproval of the way things are going. So I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm going to have several of those this semester. But anyway, I know I'm kind of griping for nothing on that, but I have to leave you with something a little bit lighter hearted, and we can kind of joke about it and everything. But anyway, as always, I thank you so much for being in the forest today and joining me here on It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. We talk about all sorts of issues, deep and not so deep, and because of that, I really appreciate if you'd share the show with other people. Whoever you come across, hit the subscribe button. Would love to hear your comments and suggestions, even a few DMs. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to sign out now, and thank you for listening to my little commentary. It means a lot to me. Sometimes I'm not so sure where the show is going, or how good it is, or how bad it is, but I thank you so much. So anyway, I'm going to sign out for now. Love you. See you next week. Bye.